Chuka decided it was time to confront Obi. He felt frustrated that Obi didn't give him the whole kingdom. As he prepared to leave, Princess Amaka stopped him in his tracks. "No, my husband, don't go to Obi. What use will it be?" Amaka pleaded, concern evident in her voice. "Don't worry, my dear husband. I have a plan," Amaka declared with determination. "Remember, I promised to deal with him and my useless sister, Chika. Oh, how I dislike them both, especially my kid sister, Chika. She has everything I ever wished for," Amaka said angrily, her frustration bubbling to the surface. Intrigued by Amaka's bold declaration, Chuka asked, "What are your plans, my love?" Amaka's eyes gleamed with wickedness as she shared her evil plans with Chuka. "I've got a plan to make sure Obi gets what he deserves," she exclaimed, her voice filled with malice. "We'll start by causing trouble between Obi and the villagers," Amaka explained, her voice turning dark. "I'll spread lies about Obi, turning everyone against him and causing chaos in the kingdom." Chuka listened closely, impressed by his wife's cleverness. "What about Chika?" he asked, wondering about Amaka's plans for her sister. Amaka grinned evilly. "Oh, don't worry about her. I've got something special in mind," she replied with a sinister tone. "I'll trick Chika into helping us, and then we'll discard her when we're done. Yes, with these plans, we'll make sure Obi and Chika suffer for what they've done," she declared triumphantly. "And then, we'll rule the kingdom with all the power." The following day, Amaka got ready and set out for Obi's village. When she arrived, Chika greeted her with joy, happy to see her sister after such a long time. After a warm welcome, Amaka asked Chika about her husband's whereabouts. "Where is your husband, Chika?" she inquired. Chika looked surprised. "He went out, but wait, Amaka. Is it only now you're asking about my husband? Since you arrived, we've done so much together, and now you're just asking about him?" she exclaimed, feeling a bit hurt. Amaka quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, Chika. I forgot. You know, I came from far, and I was also hungry. Please don't blame me," she pleaded, hoping to smooth things over. But Amaka couldn't resist adding her own thoughts about Chika's husband. "Where is your husband going this time? He never stays in his big palace. Instead, he's always chasing after young girls," she remarked with a disapproving look on her face. "How do you mean, Amaka? What do you mean by that?" Chika asked, her voice tinged with anger and confusion. She couldn't fathom why her sister would make such accusations against her husband. "Oh, please, Chika. We all know how Obi lied to you about the stranger girl he helped," Amaka replied, her tone sharp with accusation. "Let me surprise you. Do you know that Obi was having an affair with that stranger? Oh, he didn't tell you." Chika's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. "No, that can't be true. Obi would never betray me like that," she protested, her heart sinking at the thought of her husband's infidelity. But Amaka shook her head, a malicious smirk playing on her lips. "Oh, Chika, you're so naive. You think you know your husband, but he's been deceiving you all along," she insinuated, enjoying the turmoil she was causing. Feeling a surge of anger and hurt, Chika's hands clenched into fists at her sides. "I don't believe you, Amaka. Obi loves me, and he would never do something like that," she declared defiantly, refusing to entertain the thought of her husband's betrayal. "Oh, wow, my dear Chika. Did you just say love? Oh, please, spare me that nonsense." Amaka scoffed, her tone dripping with disdain. "You claim Obi loves you, yet he easily agreed to marry our sister, Princess Ada." Chika felt a pang of hurt at Amaka's words, but she refused to back down. "Yeah, I know Obi got married to Princess Ada, but it was all me and Dad's idea. We practically forced him to marry her," she said, her voice tinged with desperation as she tried to defend her husband. Amaka raised an eyebrow, skeptical of Chica's explanation. Forced him? Really, Chica? Do you honestly believe that? She retorted, her voice laced with skepticism. Or perhaps Obi saw an opportunity to secure his position and willingly went along with it? Chica's heart sank at Amaka's words, and she struggled to find a response. Deep down, she knew there was some truth to what her sister was saying, but she couldn't bring herself to admit it. No, that's not true. Obi loves me, and he would never betray me, she insisted, her voice quivering with uncertainty. Amaka narrowed her eyes as she looked at her sister, thinking hard about her next move. Well, if you're so sure about that, maybe you shouldn't tell Obi about our talk, she said, her voice sounding mean. We don't want to make things worse in your marriage, do we? Chica felt unsure, not knowing what to do. I don't know, she said nervously, feeling confused. Amaka didn't seem to care. It's up to you, Chica, but just remember, I'll be here for you, unlike your unfaithful husband, she said, trying to sound comforting but coming off as sneaky. Feeling sad, Chica watched her sister leave, feeling worried about what might happen next. Goodbye, Amaka, she said quietly, unsure about what would happen next. As Amaka walked away, she couldn't help but smile evilly, knowing she had planted doubts in Chica's mind. With Chica busy with her own problems, Amaka's plans to cause trouble for Obi were moving forward smoothly. When Amaka got home, she couldn't wait to tell Chuka about her wicked plan. Chuka, you won't believe what I did, she exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Chuka's ears perked up with interest. What did you do, my dear? He asked, eager to hear her news. Amaka smirked triumphantly. I poisoned Chica's mind against Obi, she declared, her voice filled with satisfaction. I made her doubt him, and soon enough, we'll hear about a big fight or even a divorce between them. Chuka's eyes widened with excitement. Really? That's fantastic news, he exclaimed, unable to contain his excitement. Amaka laughed wickedly. Yes, it's true. Chica won't know what hit her, she said, her laughter echoing through the room. And once she's out of the picture, nothing will stand in our way. As Chica waited anxiously for Obi to return home, her mind raced with doubts and suspicions planted by her sister's poisonous words. When Obi finally walked through the door, she couldn't contain her emotions any longer. You! She spat, her voice dripping with anger and betrayal. You liar! You deceiver! You cheat! Obi was taken aback by Chica's sudden outburst, confusion clouding his features. Chica, what's wrong? He asked, his voice filled with concern. But Chica was beyond reasoning. Don't play dumb with me, she snapped, her fists clenched at her sides. I know what you've been doing behind my back. Obi's brow furrowed in confusion. What are you talking about? I haven't done anything wrong, he insisted, trying to calm her down. But Chica wasn't having it. Don't lie to me, Obi, she accused, her voice rising with each word. I heard it from a reliable source. They said you've been unfaithful to me. Obi's heart sank as he realized the depth of Amaka's treachery. Chica, please, you have to believe me, he pleaded, desperation creeping into his voice. I love you, and I would never betray you. But Chica wasn't listening. I trusted you, Obi, she cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. And you betrayed me. How could you do this to me? As Chica's accusations echoed through the room, Obi felt his world crumble around him. His heart ached with the pain of her words, knowing that their love had been tainted by deceit. However, as Obi tearfully began to explain his side of the story, recounting the events that led to the rumors, Chica's anger slowly began to slow down. She listened intently, her heart softening with each word. Finally, as Obi finished speaking, Chica's expression softened, her eyes filled with remorse. Obi, I'm so sorry, she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. I should have trusted you. Obi pulled her into a comforting embrace, relief flooding through him. It's okay, Chica, he murmured, holding her close. We'll get through this together. As Amaka fumed with anger over her failed plan to come between Obi and Chica, she decided to do something else about it. With a sneaky look in her eye, she came up with a new idea to make Obi look bad to everyone in the village. She hurried to the elders and told them lies about Obi. She said he was using dark magic to make the youths unlucky. Some of the elders believed her, while others remained skeptical. After Amaka left, the elders convened to discuss the matter further. They deliberated on Obi's character and all the good deeds he had done for the village over the years. Remembering how he had saved them from countless dangers and brought prosperity to their land, they began to doubt Amaka's accusations. Finally, the elders approached Obi with caution, advising him to be wary of those closest to him. Obi, we have heard troubling rumors about you, they began, their voices filled with concern. While some may believe these accusations, we know the truth of your character. However, it would be wise for you to tread carefully and consider the loyalty of those around you. Obi was taken aback by the elders' words, his heart heavy with confusion and hurt. But I have done nothing wrong, he protested, his voice tinged with disbelief. The elders nodded solemnly, understanding Obi's plight. We know, Obi, they reassured him. But in times of uncertainty, it is always best to be cautious. As Obi returned home, his mind was filled with the elders' accusations. He went straight to his room, seeking peace and quiet to sort through his thoughts. Deep in contemplation, he pondered the unfairness of the situation. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and Princess Chica entered the room. Concern etched on her face as she approached Obi. Obi, what's wrong? Chica asked softly, her eyes showing genuine concern as she sat beside him. Obi sighed heavily, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. The elders. They accused me of practicing dark magic, he admitted, his voice trembling with emotion. I don't know who told them, but it hurts to be falsely accused. Chica's heart sank at Obi's words, but she knew she had to be strong for him. Without hesitation, she enveloped him in a comforting hug, offering him the solace he needed. Don't worry, Obi, Chica reassured him, her voice gentle and soothing. I know you're innocent. You've always been a kind and honorable king, and I believe in you. Obi felt a glimmer of hope at Chica's words, her unwavering support giving him strength. With her by his side, he felt less alone in his struggle. Thank you, Chica, Obi said gratefully, his heart swelling with appreciation for her loyalty. Your belief in me means everything. As they embraced, Obi knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he had Chica's unwavering support. Disheartened by the villagers' and elders' lack of belief in her accusations, Amaka decided to take matters into her own hands. Determined to sway Chica's opinion, she sought the help of a native doctor known for his powerful charms. Arriving at the native doctor's hut, Amaka pleaded with him to give her a charm that would make Chica believe whatever she told her. Desperate to achieve her goal, she was willing to go to any lengths to manipulate her sister's trust. The native doctor, intrigued by Amaka's request, agreed to help her. He concocted a potent charm that would bend Chica's will to Amaka's desires, ensuring that she would believe whatever Amaka told her without question. Armed with the charm, Amaka returned home, her heart filled with anticipation. She was confident that with the native doctor's help, she would finally be able to turn Chica against Obi and fulfill her sinister plans. As Chica lay asleep that night, she was plagued by a terrifying nightmare. Startled awake, she rose from her bed and began to pray fervently, seeking protection against unseen foes that threatened her peace of mind. After her prayers, she returned to bed, her mind troubled by the unsettling vision. The following day, Amaka paid Chika a visit, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Tearfully, she spun a tale of betrayal, claiming that Obi had once attempted to take advantage of her. Shocked and enraged by the accusation, Chika's trust in her sister shattered. "How dare you make such vile accusations against Obi?" Chika exclaimed, her voice trembling with fury. "I will not tolerate such nonsense anymore. Leave at once and never you return." Feeling disgraced and disappointed, Amaka slinked away, her mind racing with confusion and frustration. Why hadn't the charm worked as intended? Determined to uncover the truth, she sought out the native doctor once more. Arriving at the native doctor's hut, Amaka asked him why the charm didn't work on Chika. "Why did the charm fail to sway Chika's beliefs?" she asked, sounding desperate. The native doctor sighed heavily, his expression grave. "Some spirits are too strong to be influenced by charms," he explained, his tone somber. "Chika's spirit is one of them." Amaka's heart sank with defeat. "Why didn't you tell me this before you gave me the charms?" she asked, frustration evident in her voice. Realization dawned on Amaka. If charms couldn't manipulate Chika, then her plans to undermine Obi were doomed to fail. But she refused to give up so easily. "Then give me charms to make Obi lose his mind," she demanded, her voice laced with determination. "I will not rest until he suffers for what he's done." The native doctor sadly shook his head. "I can't do that," he said firmly. "Obi's spirit is too strong for such bad magic." Feeling defeated but still determined, Amaka walked away from the native doctor's hut. She couldn't shake off the thoughts of revenge swirling in her mind. She was determined to make Obi suffer, even if she had to use darker magic to do it. Upon returning home, Amaka wasted no time in sharing her diabolical plan with her husband, Chuka. "I've got it," she exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement. "We'll put charms on Obi's warriors and have them attack at night. Without his powers, he won't stand a chance." Chuka's face lit up with delight at the cunning scheme. "That's brilliant," he agreed eagerly. "If Obi's own warriors turn against him, he'll be defenseless." Amaka nodded, her heart racing with anticipation. "Exactly. And since Obi is no longer with the dreadlocks that used to give him more power, he'll be even easier to defeat," she added with a wicked grin. With their plan in motion, Amaka and Chuka would stop at nothing to ensure Obi's downfall and seize control of the kingdom for themselves. In another restless night, Chika found herself trapped in a terrifying dream. She saw shadowy figures chasing Obi with cutlasses. Startled awake, she shook Obi gently, her heart racing with fear, and recounted the nightmare. Obi listened intently, his brow furrowing with concern as Chika described the haunting vision. Without hesitation, they both began to pray fervently, seeking protection from whatever evil lurked in the shadows. Feeling a sense of urgency, Chika suggested they embark on a 7-day fasting and prayer journey to strengthen their spirits and ward off any impending danger. Obi readily agreed, recognizing the importance of their unity in facing the trials ahead. A month went by, and Chuka and Amaka were relentless in their pursuit of power. They knew they had to find a way to weaken Obi's warriors if they were to stand any chance of taking over his village. So, they hatched a devious plan to bribe the palace chef. With promises of wealth beyond her wildest dreams and the allure of ruling over King Abina's kingdom, the palace chef couldn't resist their offer. She agreed to help them, eager to secure her own future at any cost. Armed with the special charms provided by Chuka and Amaka, the palace chef infused them into the meals prepared for Obi's warriors. These charms were potent, designed to take the strength and courage from anyone who consumed them. As time passed, the warriors kept eating the tricked food, not knowing what was happening. Each meal made them a little less strong and brave, making it easier for Chuka and Amaka's plan to work. Meanwhile, Chuka and Amaka watched excitedly as their plan unfolded. They knew that soon, Obi's warriors wouldn't be able to defend the village anymore. Victory was getting closer, and they were determined to win, no matter what. Under the cover of darkness, Chuka and his warriors launched their attack on Obi's village. Despite their weakened state, Obi's warriors fought bravely, but the charms had already weakened their strength, leaving them vulnerable. With only Obi standing strong against Chuka's warriors, the battle intensified. Obi fought with all his might, drawing strength from his faith in God. As the clash of swords echoed through the night, Obi knew he couldn't give up. In the midst of the chaos, Obi caught sight of a mysterious figure joining the fray, striking down Chuka's warriors with skill and precision. Curious, Obi moved closer, only to be met with a surprise attack from behind by none other than Chuka, wielding a deadly sword. But before Chuka could land the fatal blow, the stranger intervened, delivering a decisive blow to Chuka, who fell to the ground, defeated. With the stranger's help, Obi and his newfound ally emerged victorious, driving off Chuka and his remaining warriors. With the battle won, the stranger removed his helmet, revealing himself to be none other than the palace guard who had once saved Obi's life from a deadly snakebite. Overwhelmed with shock and gratitude, Obi thanked the guard profusely, promising to reward him for his bravery. As dawn broke and peace settled over the village once more, Obi reflected on the events of the night, grateful for the timely intervention of his mysterious savior. With the threat of Chuka's tyranny vanquished, Obi could finally look forward to a brighter future for himself and his people. Overwhelmed by sadness and anger at the loss of her husband, Amaka's heart was filled with bitterness as tears streamed down her cheeks. She was determined to make those responsible pay for their actions, so she went in search of another native doctor, hoping for a way to get revenge. Deep in the forest, she found a secluded hut where she poured out her troubles to the native doctor, pleading for help. Touched by her sorrow, the native doctor gave her a pouch filled with strange herbs and spells, warning her to keep it dry. But just as Amaka left the hut, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and before she could find shelter, the rain poured down in sheets, soaking her to the bone. Clutching the pouch tightly, she prayed desperately for protection. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck nearby, sending Amaka crashing to the ground in pain. Villagers who heard her cries rushed to her side, their faces filled with worry. In her final moments, Amaka confessed to her wrongdoing, admitting the depth of her treachery. Tears flowed freely as she begged for forgiveness, her voice trembling with remorse. As the villagers watched, Amaka's spirit departed, leaving behind the burden of her sins. And as the rain continued to fall, washing away the traces of her presence, the villagers whispered a prayer for her troubled soul, hoping that she would find peace in the afterlife. Upon hearing the news of Amaka's tragic demise, a mix of emotions swept over Obi and Chika. Though saddened by the loss of a family member, they couldn't help but feel a sense of relief that the turmoil Amaka caused had finally come to an end. Chika, burdened by guilt for ever doubting her husband, found solace in his forgiving embrace. Tearfully, she confessed to Obi how Amaka had tried to poison her mind against him, expressing deep regret for ever entertaining such thoughts. Moved by his wife's sincerity, Obi embraced her tenderly, offering his forgiveness without hesitation. "Chika, my love, I understand," he reassured her, his voice filled with warmth and understanding. "We have faced many trials, but our love has remained steadfast through it all." As they reflected on the events that had transpired, Obi and Chika realized the importance of trust and loyalty in their relationship. They vowed to always stand by each other, no matter what challenges they may face. The moral of this captivating story is the dangers of jealousy and betrayal, especially among family members. Jealousy can lead to distrust, deception, and ultimately, tragic consequences. It's essential to cultivate trust, understanding, and forgiveness in our relationships to avoid falling into the trap of envy and resentment. Dear viewers, we hope you've enjoyed this thrilling tale of love, betrayal, and redemption. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories like this one. Don't forget to turn on post notifications so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay tuned for more adventures on our channel.